Words are the most powerful drug used by mankind. Kipling. A drug is a chemical, a substance that alters our state of being. But words do the same thing. They don't need a needle or a pill. They're just sound waves or text on a screen. Words can sedate, stimulate, heal, or destroy. One sentence, the right sentence, can lift someone out of despair or push them deeper into it. And unlike most drugs, words don't wear off. They echo. They root themselves into memory. A compliment from childhood, a cruel joke in high school, a parent's harsh criticism, a single insult can echo in your head for years. And yet, a kind, good, and wise word can also transform us. They become part of how we see ourselves. That's what Kipling meant. Words don't just influence, they alter perception. They shift identity. They change the chemistry in our brains. Change our words, and you can change the world, at least your world. That's not just communication, that's alchemy, magic. So maybe wisdom begins with watching our language, not just what we say to others, but even what we say to ourselves. Because the words we whisper inside are not harmless. They can heal or they can slowly poison us. We have to be wise to the words that we say. Wise to the Words isn't just about etymology and word origins. It's also about the wisdom tucked inside timeless proverbs, sage sayings, and other wise quotes. These are like nuggets of wisdom and they're pure gold, little truths that can enrich your life and mine, and it would be a shame if they were lost. What we need today is not so much more information, but more wisdom. I'll share my take on each nugget, but the real value to you is your own reflection. Drop your own insights in the comments so we can all get a little wiser. Together, let's get wise to the words. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise. Proverbs. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. It's funny how often we look for shortcuts to success, as if there's some secret hack that will skip us past the hard parts. But the more I reflect, the more I realize that the real shortcut is actually just wisdom. The kind that comes from others who've already walked the road. There's something powerful about how much can be packed into a simple proverb. Years of trial, years of failure and reflection, all boiled down into a single sentence. These sayings don't just sound good, they guide you, quietly, steadily, like footprints guiding you. So I'm learning to slow down and listen, to walk with the wise, through their words, their stories, their hard-won insights. Maybe that's the real shortcut, learning from their steps so I don't have to stumble as much on my own. A good scare is worth more to a man than good advice. Edgar Howe. I've definitely heard good advice throughout my life and still failed to act on it. For example, I know I should eat healthier. I know I should exercise more and lose weight, but nothing jolts me into action quite like a real scare. A stern warning from a doctor, or a sudden concerning symptom which actually I've experienced lately. A glimpse of what could go wrong if I don't change my ways. A good scare has a way of cutting through all the excuses until something shakes us, really shakes us. We don't act. It's so weird. Just how a picture is worth 1,000 words. A scare can be worth 1,000 reminders, 1,000 admonitions. But I don't want to wait for fear to be my teacher. I want to be wise enough to take good advice to heart before the scare comes. We learn to walk by stumbling. Anonymous. It's so easy to get frustrated with myself when things don't go perfectly, when I trip over my own expectations or feel like I should be further along. But no one starts out doing anything perfectly. Not walking, not speaking, not living, not even making YouTube videos. Perfection isn't the starting point. It's something we grow toward, step by shaky step. And sometimes I have to remind myself, stumbling isn't failing. It's part of the process. Even when all I can manage is a clumsy first step, That's still progress. That's still forward. And maybe, just maybe, good enough really is good enough for today. Let not the perfect be the enemy of the good. I also have to remember that most people are stumbling through life just like I am. They just hide it well. We're all figuring it out, wobbling, tripping, and learning, one step at a time. Who gossips to you will gossip of you, a Turkish proverb. It's easy to get pulled into gossip, especially when it's wrapped in the thrill of a secret. Honestly, it still fascinates me. But why do we love gossip so much? What is it that makes it so addicting? Sometimes I wonder if it feeds something in us, maybe a subtle ego boost, like, at least I'm not that person. But why do we need that? Lately, I try to pay more attention, not just to what's being said, but who's saying it and why. If someone is so quick to talk about others behind their backs, what makes me think I'm any different? It's a quiet warning. The way people treat others when they're not around is probably how they treat me too. Actually, I'm guilty of it too. It's how I've treated people in the past. A smart man only believes half of what he hears. A wise man knows which half. Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Cooper. It's easy to think, I don't believe everything I hear. But the wiser move is knowing which part to believe. That's where discernment comes in. Discernment comes from the Latin discernere, to sift apart. It's like panning for gold in a river of noise, sorting truth from half-truths and spin. It's not just skepticism. Anyone can doubt everything and call it intelligence. Real discernment is clarity. It's learning to see, not just to hear, to read between the lines, to sense what's driving the message. And that takes more than brains. It takes humility. The kind that admits you don't know it all, that you might be wrong, that the truth isn't centered around you. It takes patience, deep listening, and the discipline to ask, why is this being said? Who's saying it? But what's more important, what's not being said? In a world overflowing with information, wisdom isn't about knowing more, it's about sifting better. The world is a looking glass and gives back to every man the reflection of his own face. Frown at it, and it in turn will look sourly upon you. Laugh at it and with it, and it is a jolly, kind companion. William Thackeray. The world really is a mirror. It really does seem to reflect back what I bring to it. When I'm closed off, frustrated, critical, everything feels harsher. People seem colder, more distant. But when I'm open, when I feel kind, willing to laugh, willing to let things go, suddenly the world softens. It's like it's just responding in kind. And it makes me wonder, how often do I mistake my own inner mood for the state of the world? Maybe it's not the world that's sour. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's just my reflection frowning back at me. I need to be more intentional about the energy I send out. Because if life really is a mirror, then how I show up shapes more than just my day. It shapes my whole experience and ultimately my life. To put the world in order, we must first put the nations in order. To put the nations in order, we must first put the family in order. To put the family in order, we must first cultivate our personal life. We must set our hearts right. Confucius. There's something deeply grounding about that idea. It reminds me that change doesn't start somewhere out there. It starts right here, with me. When the world feels chaotic or broken, I instinctively want to fix something big, change the world. But Confucius reminds me that the real work begins much smaller and much closer. If I want peace in the world, I need peace in my own home. And if I want peace in my home, I need peace in my own heart. And that's humbling, but strangely empowering. Maybe the most radical thing I can do today isn't shouting into the noise, but quietly tending to my own integrity, my own relationships, my own choices, my own heart. That's how order begins, one heart at a time. A handful of patience, is worth more than a bushel of brains. A Dutch proverb. It's not saying brains aren't valuable, just that without patience, all that intelligence might go to waste. A genius with no patience rushes, burns out, or gives up too soon. But someone with steady patience, they keep going. They learn from mistakes. They outlast the clever ones who give up at the first setback. Patience is underrated because it's quiet. It doesn't show off, but it's the soil that allows ideas to grow, problems to unravel, and growth to take root. In a world that glorifies speed, this proverb reminds me that slow doesn't mean stupid. It often means wise. A little patience might just get you further than a lot of brilliance ever could. By speaking of our misfortunes, we often relieve them. Corneille. Sometimes just saying what I'm going through to someone makes it feel lighter. The problem doesn't magically disappear, and nothing's fixed completely. But somehow, putting it into words takes some of the weight off my shoulders. It's like sharing the burden makes it less overwhelming. But if this works for me, I often forget that it'll work for those around me who are suffering, that I need to just listen to them, listen to their fears, their worries, burdens. Just listening lightens their burdens. And I think that's true charity.
I could feel